My old man just died. I come in as a favor, and now they want me to lock up.
Hey, 5-star review, yeah? Like and subscribe and all the things. Oh, you gotta be kidding. Come on.
Welcome back to the SWAU's official channel. I'm Bryan, your host, and this is a conversation with the stars. And what a star we have got this week. She is going to be starring in a brand new movie in the cinema. I will mention it in a moment, but you'll know her from Obi-Wan Kenobi, Superman and Lois, Orphan Black. Echoes, if I'm right in saying, but the film that she's going to be in is Final Destination, Bloodlines. It's the wonderful Rya Kihlstedt. Rya, welcome to the show, my love.
Thank you, Bryan. I'm thrilled to be here.
And I can't wait for Final Destination because I can remember watching this in 3D at the cinema many, many moons ago, and it's been 14 years since the last one. So I'm going to a press screening of this a week tomorrow, so I'll be seeing it before it comes out. But this film, what were your initial reactions when you read the script? Because, you know, signing up for a film like Final Destination, you knew you was going to, meet a gruesome end. I mean, what was your first reaction when you read the script?
Well, I feel like, I wasn't given a script at first. It was just pages. It was all very, quiet and secretive. And I was given these two scenes that were so, they were so different from what I expected. Just looking at what this was, what the genre and what the films were, which I confess I hadn't seen any of them. So
Wow.
I knew of them, but I just hadn't seen them. I missed them, and horror films. I like to consider myself somebody who does not walk the world scared, and horror films stay with me and freak me out. They climb into my dreams and my nightmares and the dark nights walking around places. So I've tended to stay away from them unless someone has said, you have to go see this, or I'm working on something. So I knew, of course, the genre and what this was and knew of them. But they gave me, the first two scenes I had were these incredible human scenes about a mother sharing with her, one was with the daughter and one was with her brother, kind of family history, where we grew up, how this has, and they were so beautifully written and so deeper than I imagined. that by the time I finished my call with the producers and the directors, I got off and thought, oh, I fucking really want this job. This is, they're really smart. The scenes are really interesting. And then by the time I got a script to read, they've somehow managed to, in this script, fold in, from where I stand anyway, fold in all of the elements of Final Destination movies. You have the humor, you have the fantastic entity of death that breezes
Mhm.
through, and then you also have, because it's written and centered around a family, and or from where I went at it to break it down and work at it, a mother, a daughter, and a granddaughter, this kind of generational her inherited trauma.
I mean, it's quite unusual you saying about horror movies, because you starred in a very freaky one called the Atticus Institute, which, if people haven't seen it, they need to see it. I mean, Final Destination movies, I think, are on a complete different spectrum. When you talk about movies that stay with you, that live in the back of your mind, for a while, Atticus Institute is definitely one of those. But I mean, with this film, I know the creator has said that they've taken a different approach to it. It's not going to be sort of the same formula as the ones before. So, was there any scenes particular that you were quite surprised at? Because this film, they're very, they are geniuses when it comes down to how to kill people off and how to do it.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, was there certain ones that really surprised you? Because the trailer does give a lot away, and it does give a lot of deaths away, which I was quite surprised at.
Well, and the trailer, I mean, I think we've had a couple different trailers. I know one of the early trailers was Richard Harmon's incredible scene in the tattoo parlor, which is such a standalone, spectacular sequence that he got to do. And then they started expanding. Then I think the next real trailer had pieces of all of us and showed the family. But I think what they've done here, yes, look, Craig, our producer, it didn't matter when you went up to him with questions or to know, he was working on the details of a death. And Craig and Sheila have in their computers a full-on set of ideas, suggestions, people writing into them, things that they've collected over the years of great death ideas, great things that can happen that are always all connected to real life. Because I think that's what this movie does, is it leaves everybody walking out. So when they drive on a freeway and there's a log truck in front of them,
That's exactly me. That's exactly me.
no,
Yeah.
it's everybody. It's everybody. I mean, when I got this, I did go back and watch the films, so I knew what I was walking into. And I think what they've done here that's different is the other films, the people are disconnected. They are work people, they are casual friends, they don't know each other, but they get put into this situation together. But they don't have the connection. This is family. So you have story of disconnect of generations of family, of having, left one's family, having to repair bridges, all the while death is coming for you.
I mean, I cannot wait. I mean, with this, with your character, was there any like sort of any superstition, any rituals that you did on on set to maybe not, carry any bad juju back home with you? Because you often find, like with the Poltergeist movies and The Exorcist, there was quite a weird things going on set. So I don't know. I mean, did you do anything rituals wise to cleanse the set in case you did bring anything back home?
No, but maybe I should have.
Do you believe
No.
in fate? Do you believe in, like, literally that the world has got the plan for you all mapped out?
in destiny of some sort? Um, that's a really good question. I mean, I don't think that I believe in, like, I don't believe that death has a list, that they're coming for you sequentially. I do believe that when it's your time, it's your time. And one should celebrate the life of those that you have loved when their time comes. There is nothing, I do. So I guess in some ways I do. It's an
Yeah.
interesting, it's an interesting question. I mean, I think that, do you?
Well, yeah. I mean, the thing is, it's sort of like I think that we're all on a giant obstacle course, and I think fate puts these obstacles in place to make us who we are, to strengthen us, to challenge us. I mean, mine at the moment is like American Ninja. At the moment with all the courses in play. But yeah, I think so because I don't know. It's scary to think that if you cheated fate, this is something that could happen, like in Final Destination, and it's quite odd that I do get times where I will stop in the middle of the day, and when you have that like deja vu feeling, like you feel like it's happened before. I mean, it's that sort of thing that freaks me out. And I don't know. I don't know. I don't want to tempt fate or anything like that.
No, but
But
it's so interesting to think about. Okay, so those moments like a near car accident, or even if you get into a car accident, right? I had a really very intense real conversation with a friend of mine over the weekend because he got into a car accident on Friday. He's totally fine. But it was one of those moments where you just have those reminders. And I guess I think of what you have.
yeah,
And and I guess I think that's the most important thing, is that to not take that for granted. I think it's really important that we take those moments and go, wait a minute, all right, life is what I have right now. Fucking take advantage of every minute of it, because it could all change tomorrow. I
we only
mean,
have one. We only have one, and
you
there's
don't
no redos, no sequels, no
no,
prequels. We've just got to
no,
make the best of
no.
what we've got and make it count because it's in the words of Gladiator, what we do in this life echoes in eternity, as he says. And I do actually believe in that. I mean, with this film, it's got a great cast that you act alongside. Richard Harmon, you mentioned, which, I would love to get a chance to speak to him because I've just started to watch a series called The 100. Which
Yeah.
I've had a couple of the cast on, and they're like, "You've got to watch it," and I'm like, "Right," and I have been. And Richard Harmon, amazing actor.
He's
I mean, he's been in
fantastic.
Van Helsing, he's been in so many things, and he's in this along with Breck Basinger. What I wanted to ask is sadly, this was Tony Todd's last film before he passed away, and we will always remember him as Candyman and some iconic roles. Did you have any interactions with him at all on set,
Oh
or
yeah.
was and what was he like to work with? What type of a person was he behind the camera?
He was, I mean, I think I can say this. He was sick when he came to work with us. Um, he he was a deeply thoughtful, kind, lovely man. I mean, he was so just present and open and happy to be there and lovely and sweet and chatty. Like we all felt so incredibly lucky.
I mean, for me, I can remember him being in a film, something Fox with Christopher Reeve back in I think the 80s, where he was a cowboy, and he was just
He would have
fantastic.
been a good
Small,
cowboy.
yeah, he
He would
was.
have been,
He was
he's
fantastic.
huge. He's
Yeah,
so tall. He's this tall, lean drink of water. Like, and he was just, he was really, really wonderful. Happy to be with all of us, happy to be here working, happy to just, and I know that he had a lot of takes at the end where our director said to him, say whatever you want. What do you want to say to the audience? If you, as your character right now, could say anything, what would it be? So a lot of the lines that he delivered at the end were his improv lines.
Wow.
Yeah,
That is
which was great.
to think though, this is a wonderful thing about what you do and other performers do, is that all of these films, all of these TV shows will last forever, and we'll be able to watch back and
For better or
many
for
years,
worse.
many years into the future, we'll be referring back to it, which I think is fantastic. I mean, talking about your scenes in this movie, I'm not going to talk about it as such of what happened because it's in the trailer and I don't want to speak about it because, I saw it in the trailer and I went, oh no. I mean, what was your death scene like to film? Was it quite fun or was it hard going?
I filmed two, actually.
Wow. Okay.
I filmed an initial death sequence, which happened early, midway through the movie. And which was, I mean, I love all that stuff. I love anything physical. I love the detail. I love working with the stunt team. It just, and always want to do as much as anybody will let me. So that's something that I just love. And the first death sequence was supposed to be, I think I'm allowed to share this, it's not in the movie. We were exiting a hospital. I just finally reunited with my children. And I turn to them and essentially say, I'm off, I love you, and a giant L from the top of the hospital, the giant letter L falls and smashes me.
That is
So
awesome.
filming that was literally holding a giant latex balloon filled with blood on a pole with an electric charge on it so that when I hit my mark and turned to my kids to say my line, on the key word, they would, hit the charge, the balloon would burst, the bubble, the red would hit me, and I had to hit the ground at the same time, let the momentum of it take me down. It was messy and sticky and gross and really fun.
It must be quite annoying though, slightly, because you go through all that work and they don't put that in. But
I know.
I suppose that they do that. Is it maybe to get a feel for all the death scenes and what makes a good sort of combination, do you think?
Well, I actually think what happened here is connected to the story part that they were all surprised by. I think that when they started test screening it for audiences, the story of my children and I having just reunited after I had left them years before felt too fast and too abrupt. And when Sheila and Craig called me and told me that I was living longer so that I could actually properly reunite with my children and make a decision in the end, I was thrilled because I felt like now I could do Darlene
Yeah.
right. Like I could just do her right, do right by her, let her come full circle. I was thrilled. So we last longer and really properly have some time a little time to talk about what happened before I meet my fate. And now in some ways, I feel like what she really gets to do is actually give her life up for her children. And that's awesome.
Which I'm sure we all would do. But I can't wait to watch this. This comes out on the 16th of May in the cinemas. I'll be doing a review and everything like that once I see the press screening. But I wanted to ask about, because the last time we spoke about the wonderful Superman and Lois, as Ali Alston. There we go, picture there. Can you believe the news that when it got cancelled? I mean, going from working on that show for such a great season, and then Superman and Lois just being no more, it broke my heart. I mean, what were your thoughts when you heard that they were ending the show?
I don't know how or why decisions get made these days, to be honest. I mean, I know a lot of shows get canceled and then get brought back because fans stop and say, well wait, we're invested. There's a huge following. There's a huge audience. I wish that it all just seems so arbitrary sometimes.
I mean,
Or financial. I guess it's not arbitrary. I think it's financial purely,
yeah.
and I think that's really the wrong reason.
I mean, we had such great villains like yourself, Bruno Mannheim, and then obviously, in the last season as well. It did bring me to tears watching the last season. But through that, I had so many great relationships with the cast and crew like yourself and Dylan Walsh and people like that.
And they're such a great cast. That was such a really wonderful, great group of people.
Yeah. Yeah, and it will always live on. Again, we can always rewatch it. But I wanted to ask more about Star Wars. You played the fourth sister in Obi-Wan Kenobi, and that would be a great outfit there for a Saturday night out, wouldn't it? You know what I mean?
I'm going to tell you, this was one of the most incredible costumes that I have ever worn. I would say probably since I did a BBC miniseries in my 20s, which,
The
was Edith
Buccaneers.
Wharton. So it was the Buccaneers. So it was a whole
Yeah.
different kind of, but it was custom made for me, for my body, with incredible seamstresses and tailors and real conversations about, they had something to build off. They knew exactly what they wanted her to look like, but I went in for more detailed fittings and hair and makeup tests than I ever have on anything.
And it was
It's an
such a
incredible.
wonderful series.
I couldn't get into it by myself. I needed help.
But I can't believe we haven't had any news about a season 2. We need to get a season 2. But you came back in 2024 to lend your voice to the fourth sister again in the Tales of the Empire. What was that like, stepping back into the character again to lend your voice to her?
Well, that was, in some ways it felt totally disconnected, but I had, I knew where her through line and what she needed and wanted didn't change, but it let you play in a different way. Like, I felt like, I think because the actual Obi-Wan series had so many characters and so many stories, some of what they had hoped to do with the fourth sister didn't actually get made. There's only so much you can do with what an incredible cast of characters and, big, huge storylines. So I felt like it kind of gave me a chance to play a little more of her than I got to.
How different is it? Because I know you've lent your voice to computer games and other projects. How different is it knowing that you've acted on screen in front of the camera to now being in a booth, I presume, and doing the voice? Is there a disconnection there, or actually is it better for you to be in that space, just you, to get into that character?
It gave me a place to already start. I knew exactly, I had already done the work on her, so I knew exactly what was driving her, what she needed and wanted, what she was ruled by. So in some ways, just doing the voice gives you a freedom, because it's just what she sounds like. It's just intonation. It's just guiding somebody and the drawings. And, and there were a lot of redos. Like, we would do a series and then a couple months later I would come back and do it again because the drawings would shift. They would do something different. I feel like I have the same experience when I do Call of Duty, because that I do a lot of voice, but I also do some of the motion capture for the intro and outros as Laswell. So when you go to the voice work, I know exactly who she is, right? I know exactly what she's driving, what she's.
And does that open a lot more doors for you as a performer, because of obviously being so talented, in front of the screen, but then also being a talented voice actor? Does that open so many more doors to you as a performer?
I'm going to be really honest and say I wish it did, but it doesn't. It's a really like I would love to do more. I love doing the voice stuff. I mean, I love reading books out loud. I would love to do much more of it. I really find great pleasure in it. It's hard work.
Mm.
But it's also a really small, hard industry to get into that not a lot of people circulate in it. So it's a small world.
Mm.
I would happily do more.
And then, talking about Star Wars, I mean, now you've done the Tales of the Empire. I mean, what does it feel like being part of the Star Wars legacy? Because you've even got your own trading card there, signed by yourself, that I'm sure I've tried to find one and I can't find it anywhere. I've even checked eBay. I have checked Marketplace.
I'm going to see if I can find you one. I don't have one. Just by the
Oh,
way, I don't
what?
have one, but I'm going to see if I can find you one, Brian.
But yeah, so I
You
mean,
know,
what is it like, seeing these things, out there?
I grew up on Star Wars. Like, I'm 55. I'm the age that when the first Star Wars came out, I waited in line at the Ziegfeld Theater with my parents to go and see the first one on the big screen. And I will never forget them. They are stamped in my brain as, they changed storytelling. They invented a whole new genre, I think, for our generation. And I had a couple moments on set. One of them was it was also top secret that we didn't have trailers outside because they didn't want us walking
Hmm.
outside, inside in costumes. So our rooms were inside in the sound stages. And I was sitting in my room one day and I looked out the window and there were like 8 people out in the parking lot wearing long black capes, very Darth Vader like long black capes, all kind of huddled around. And I started watching them and suddenly I realized that they all had white boots on. They all had, if their capes opened, I realized that they're all stormtroopers. And they were all out together practicing a march. And I had this moment where all of the hair on my skin just stood on end. I was like, I'm in a Star Wars movie with stormtroopers. I just couldn't fucking believe it.
It's
And
crazy,
then
isn't
walking
it?
on set the first day, oh, it's crazy. It's crazy. And working with Darth Vader, who, oh my God, Nikolai, I think was his name. There are 3 people who played Darth Vader. And the man I worked with, because there was a stunt guy, there was an actor,
Mm.
and then there was the dancer who glided, who he could just like walk like Darth Vader, which is an incredible thing to watch because it literally looks like he's just barely touching the ground. And he's a trained Russian dancer and was there with a dance choreographer working on his walk every day under his Darth costume and helmet. It was a really incredible experience.
Do you know, I've just got visions now of Darth Vader at the bar doing his little kicks and putting his like
Yeah.
pointing his toe, doing his point work, which is fantastic. But
Pirouetting across the room.
yes, with the stormtroopers behind him lifting him up as he does his duck
Yeah.
feet thing. But no, I mean it is a great crazy franchise. I mean, I'm sure that you'd be open to
It's
join
incredible.
the franchise in the future because there's so many things being made.
Who wouldn't be? I mean, I don't know anybody who wouldn't want to just be on. The sets are huge, so it's an
Mm.
incredible thing to watch with, 3, 4 cameras, the incredible LED screen that moves with the cameras, like the whole experience. And the marketplace and the characters. I don't know a single actor who wouldn't, even just for a day, want to go on and do more of that. I would happily.
But Rhea, you've got your T-shirt. You've done it. You know what I mean? You've been there, done that, and you've got the cards and the figures to prove it, which I think is crazy. But the last time we spoke, I think it was just after something miraculous happened in the industry, which was the SAG strike. The actors' strike, which I think it was the writers' strike when we spoke last time, and I think it was then the actors' strike. I mean,
Yeah.
what was that experience like going through? Because that was a long time where people weren't working, weren't promoting. How did that affect you personally and professionally?
Well, if I'm really honest, it's been really hard for most all, not just actors, but you can't forget the crew. I'm friends with huge numbers of crew, camera, hair, makeup. Everybody stopped working.
Yeah,
And business still has not picked up. So it's really shifted. It actually felt like LA was kind of on a trajectory to start work again at the start of this year. It just felt like there was a momentum and people were getting hopeful and optimistic, and then we had the fires,
yeah. I
which
mean,
just felt like this surreal. It's been a really, really hard last year and a half here. There's
and
not a lot
then
of work. There's not
uh,
enough work.
and
And
then
work's going to Europe. Work is going everywhere else. Australia, England,
And then and then
Prague.
and then Trump has come out today. I think it's
Oh my
today or
God.
yesterday, saying that all films that are made abroad are going to get 100% tariff. Which I just think that. I mean, to be fair, I mean, I'm not in the industry, so I don't know how bad this is. But from my thoughts, it only sounds bad because if an American company surely films in another country, they would then have to pay twice as much. But yet that's hurting the American company. I just don't get it.
So I feel like this ridiculous idea of tariffs being the thing that's going to save and bring production back to America.
Mm.
The one from where I stand and what I can see, the one company and the group of companies that would financially be in a position to build factories in this country and bring production back is all of the tech companies. And they are the
Yeah.
ones that he has forgiven the tariffs. Any small companies, any small mom and pop companies, any small $20 million companies and under, they can't afford to produce their product here. They don't have the like it's impossible. So now they're having to face these tariffs, which are going to put them out of business in the first place. And then you look at film, this made up there's very little film production happening in our country right now.
Yeah.
So what happens with say the new Tom Cruise Mission Impossible? That wasn't filmed in America. It was filmed all over the world. They spent what, $300 million, probably more. How does that work?
Mm.
Like, I think the way, you need to nurture your small companies. You need to nurture and help them build. Putting tariffs on them when they've already probably had to go to other countries to have their product made because American factories won't make big numbers, so they have to do it elsewhere. Even if, like, it's an incredible cyclical thing, and I think it's just he's cutting off his nose to spite his face, cutting off
Yeah.
our noses to spite our face.
I think a lot of companies in America, I know they go to certain states because they get a certain tax relief. So I think it's Georgia, which is one of them. And I know the new Mandalorian and Grogu movie was filmed in California because they had special tax breaks to allow it to be filmed in California. So I think it's shocking that
Yeah.
I mean, as you mentioned there, Mission Impossible, 300 million. So technically, it'll be charging them 600 million if the tariffs go ahead, which I think is astonishing.
Which is and you would assume that their budget for P&A is 600 million, right?
Yeah.
or at least
But
300 million. I mean, I'm making these numbers up. I don't
yeah.
know, but I know they're insanely huge numbers. And how does that work?
Yeah, I mean, I'm
How does that
sure. I
help
mean,
production? How does that help it stay in this country?
exactly. And to be fair, I can't see it actually going through. He said about the tariffs, about the tech companies, and then before you knew it, he was saying that Apple didn't have to pay any tariffs, and Tesla and people like that. So, who knows? It might not go through properly because I think that, as you said, he's cutting his nose off to spite his face. But what are you working on next? Because I noticed that you've done a short film with Richard Harmon as well, called Foo. I mean,
I
when does that come
did.
out?
I did. Yeah, a member of our cast and his daughter wrote a beautiful short film and asked us to. One of the best things about Final Destination is this cast was extraordinary and we got really close. We are an eclectic, mixed group of people of all ages and we just had this chemistry together, which I think is palpable in the film. And so we all just kind of fell in love with each other. And Andrew Lee, who plays my ex-husband in it, he and his daughter, who's Peyton Lee, who's a fabulous actress, they wrote a short that they want to turn into, they're toying with where it's going to go and what it's going to be in the bigger picture. And they asked Richard and me to come and do it.
Do
So
you
I don't
know?
know where that is. She's editing. So
Yeah, I mean, the story of it looks really, really nice, and just from the story description, it says here, years after losing his wife and daughter, a delusional Chinese man longs to find a new reason to live and decides to transform himself into the new Fu Manchu, which it just sounds like something amazing, and I just can't wait for that to come out because I quite like independent sort of short films. I think you get a lot of love and a lot of heart and soul in something that isn't, not necessarily, made by the studios as such. I think when it's down to the actual filmmakers themselves, I think it's fantastic. But I can't wait for that to come out.
I agree. I think one of my great pleasures is doing any and all indie short because you get people's proper visions without too many chefs in the kitchen. And
Mm.
I just think projects that get the good ones get stripped down to really what they're about. Everybody's here for one reason because they believe in the project.
Yeah. And then quickly, before we bid farewell, I know I've mentioned this to you before about conventions, and I'm not sure if you're a convention type of person, but I mean, would you consider going to a convention in the future? Because I know that a lot of people out there would absolutely love to get their hands on an autograph picture. Maybe someone, maybe over here in the UK. I mean, is there a way of getting your autograph? Have you got a website yet? I mean, could SWAU you
Brian,
sort
you
of
can have
sign them
whatever
out?
you want. I will happily send you whatever you want. Look, it's a funny thing. Yes, I would happily go. I have never done it yet. I would happily go and do it. The truth is, I can't quite fathom who would possibly want to meet me and have my autograph. It doesn't quite make sense to me.
Oh,
But I would love to do it. It's, we did a screening the other day at a Fangoria screening of Final Destination. And afterwards, I had the most incredible conversations with audience members who had seen it and their thoughts about my work in it and my character. And I found it quite moving and lovely to hear their stories and be able to thank them. And so, yes, I would, I will, I'll keep you posted, put it
but you
that
know
way.
what? It's quite nice. It just shows you're quite humble because the fact that you think it's weird that people want your autograph, which I do often think that. Do you know what I mean? It's sort of like to be in that position, what you're in, which is you're very well known. You've been in some, amazing things. So people are going to want to sort of not. would you say worship at the altar? But do you know what I mean? It's sort of like they would want like an autograph
No,
picture so they can have it on the wall, you know?
I think about it like this. I am lucky enough to have been a journeyman actor. I've worked enough that I have managed to support myself up until the strike. I also have a bunch of other stuff I do. I'm an artist. I cook. I'm writing a dinner party book. Like I have my hands in a bunch of pies. And I consider myself really lucky that I've been able to work enough. I am not famous in any way, shape, or form. I walk unrecognized, which I am so grateful for. And I sometimes get to work on great stuff. I mean, I really had a week or two ago, I got to go to Atlanta and work with Patricia Arquette on the Murdaugh murders. And I felt a little like I feel a little awestruck. I was like, okay,
Really?
you are a fucking kick-ass, smart as hell, interesting, surprising actress, and I'm thrilled that I get to work with you. And so I feel like that's a little, that was a gift back for me, but I don't see myself in the same world.
Oh,
I'm a
bless you.
journeyman
You
actor,
should
which is
do. You should do.
fantastic.
But you say journeyman actor, and I often find that actually, I don't. You know, when you see these big stars, and you just think, I wonder how they got to where they are now, like these massive stars. I just see these massive stars as like a product, like being on the stock exchange. The studios have decided to take this person and put them in front of every single poster as the main name. But for me, that don't make it for me. I love the performers and actors that are not necessarily the lead, but the people, as you say, journeymen, holding up those actors. Because you know what? Without the people behind them, who would they be? I mean, there's so many rock, pictures that we can watch without. I don't know. I'm not for these sort of massive actors that are in every film currently. I'm not a fan. But you should be humble and
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. I mean, it takes, the truth is, I think it takes all of it together
yeah.
to make it work. My heart truly belongs. I mean, I love being on a set. I just love being on a set, being part of a crew. I love knowing, a whole camera team's names every day and about their family. And you get to know, it's like summer camp. And you show up and do the best you can. And maybe you take some friends with you at the end of the day. And hopefully you do some decent work.
Oh,
Hopefully you
bless
hit a
you.
scene or two. Hopefully you hit a scene or two. You're like, that felt like really good work today. And then it goes into the editor's hands anyway. So it's all out of your hands.
Yeah. How shocking is that? It is out the actor's hands because it's the editor that decides if you end up on the screen or on the cutting floor. But Rya, thank you so much for coming onto the show. Thank you so much for chatting to me once again. It's been an absolute delight, and I can't wait to watch Final Destination on the 16th of May. Urge everyone out there to watch it. And we see what we can do about getting you to a convention or get a signing sorted out, because I think fans would absolutely love that.
I'm in. Let me know. And thank you I apologize one final last time for standing you up last week.
It's all right. I'm used
Horrified.
to it. I've been stood up many times.
You shouldn't be used to it. You should not be used to it.
It's okay.
Tell us to fuck off.
No. You deserve better than that, Rya. But Rya, thank you so much. Keep safe and stay super. Thank you.